full-time affair. My wife of 11 years has filed for divorce. Standard I love you but not in love for you speech. Knew she was having an IA with a coworker. She obviously denied it and couldn't get any additional information from her. No phone call or emails between the two. Everything was done by text message, which she would immediately delete. Last weekend, she went into work on both Friday and Saturday nights. She was legitimately behind in her job and needed to go into the office. Was there until midnight both nights. Sunday was our youngest daughter's family birthday party. We had people over and she acted like everything was fine. My parents, whom I have just told a few days before that we were getting divorced, commented later how nothing seemed amiss. Sunday night, lying in bed, she asked me to sleep with her. Out of the blue, she hadn't wanted me to touch her in weeks. Having a long time of pent-up need, fun times ensued. Monday morning, while she is in the shower, I find her pants, which I had ripped off the night before and thrown to the floor. Her underwear has some stains in the crotch area. She never put them on after we had a good time the previous night. My heart sank. I picked them up and stashed them in a drawer. I denied myself the probable truth. I assumed that it was something else. This morning, again while she was in the shower, I sync her iPhone and grabbed a copy of the text message backup file. Just got a chance to go through it now. This night will haunt me, realizing that there are gaps, since she deletes all messages, and not having date stamps on the texts. It paints a grim picture. Started with references to a kiss or two, then along to I like your thing, and I found one that said, did you have a good time? Nice. Plenty of other babes, loves, and other terms of endearment. I've requested the underwear sample be tested for semen and compared to my DNA to ensure it isn't mine. Once I have those results back, week or so, and assuming it is positive. Exposure. In the beginning, my STBXW said she wanted to keep it amicable for the kids' sake. We have 4 children. We are still early in the proceedings. She has her lawyer. I have mine. I haven't been served yet, but that is at any time, although my lawyer will request that it be served to his office. My main goal is that I keep joint legal custody of the kids. If we go to court, that option is taken off the table. The court decides to one parent or the other. Infidelity does not make a lick of difference with regards to who is the most fit parent, and I do not want to take that risk. Also, she has said that she doesn't want to screw me in the settlement with regards to support and maintenance. I make more than twice what she does and she could get both if it were to go to a judge. As it stands, she is only going to ask for child support. So, my concern is that on exposure, she'll renege on her intentions and fire with both barrels. It is a terrifying prospect for me, as even just paying child support has me living in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment. Where am I going to put 4 kids? So to put maintenance on top of that will be devastating. I really don't want to play roulette with the courts since the odds are not in my favor. I want to be heavily involved with my kids. Also, exposing to their workplace might very well end up in getting my STBXW fired. Her income drops to 0, my financial obligation goes up. The funny thing is, at this point, I still want to save my marriage. I know to do that, I need to blow it up, which is why I will do the exposure. But I am so conflicted it is tough to think straight. My initial plan is to wait until we have a preliminary agreement drawn up and approved by both of us and the lawyers. Once that is done and filed, then expose. She could at that point ask that the preliminary agreement be modified, but hopefully the expense of doing that, full-on fees, and the desire to see this done will prevent her from doing that. I hate to have to put the kids through this. I know the OM has a long-term girlfriend. They have 1 son together, who actually works down the street from me. However, I have no good way of contacting her to pass along the news. Note that the semen sample will only prove it is not mine. It doesn't prove that it is his. But 99.9% still leaves some small measure of doubt. She needs to know. I asked my mother-in-law after the proceedings were started if she thought that the OM was someone special in my STBXW's life. She said no and agreed that the divorce was not a decision that she agreed with. Curious to see how that plays out. My STBXW has her best friend who I believe is supporting her in this situation, so I don't know what to expect there. At the end of the day, I am too angry right now to feel sorry for myself for too long. The thought of going through this divorce has really beat me down over the last few weeks. I am crushed for the kids. The divorce was going to be tough enough on them. Then to have this background knowledge, it is going to be tough for me to be strong and respectful about their mother in front of them. Maybe I'm wrong and the sample will come back negative. My plan is that we sell the house and split the equity. I'll need it to get back on my feet. She'll probably offer a trade-off where she keeps the house and I keep 100% of my retirement account. It is pretty much equal to the equity in the house. In my worst-case scenario, she'll try and guilt me into it, since by forcing the sale of the house the kids will have to move from their friends and out of one of the top school districts in the state. She still hasn't told me what her proposed settlement is. She is back at work right now, so I don't know right now. Her initial proposal to me when she said she would file for divorce was that she would only seek child support, to the maximum allowed, of course. I understand and am fully prepared to fulfill my obligation to my kids. Exposure should hopefully change that last point. She just got home, just finished a long conversation. Heading to bed after this, talked about generalities about the divorce. The subject of the OM came up. Let's call him Jeff, since that is his name. She again insisted that there is nothing going on. I asked about all the deleted texts. Her response was that it was either about work or inappropriate joke texts that I would take offense to if I saw them. Talking about having a good time is pretty offensive, I suppose. She also said that she could never be with this guy. He has a girlfriend and a kid. It wouldn't make sense. Etc. I tried to keep as quiet as possible and keep the smirk off my face. Maybe she is telling the truth and I am way out to left field. The sample results may still come back negative and all I have are some snippets of text messages. Damning as they are, I am trying not to feel useless in this situation. Man, the reality of last night is really hitting me today. Emotions all over the place. Anger, humiliation, guilt, frustration, regret, and a bunch of others. The waiting for the test results is going to feel like forever. It is frustrating to me because on one side she is telling me why she is going through with the divorce while insisting she has no one else in her life. So, what is the benefit of me exposing? Right. Just seems vindictive. So, I feel trapped and humiliated because I know she is doing wrong. But there is nothing I can do about it. And she wants to keep it amicable for the kids. Don't see how I am going to deal with this and get over it right now. Too much conflicting thoughts in my head. Actually, my exposing it to the workplace might not only get my STBXW fired, but the OM as well. Since he has a girlfriend and a 2-year-old to support, it wouldn't be right for me to cause her and her son financial hardship. I suppose, providing the sample is positive, then when I share the info with OM's girlfriend, I could give her the option of choosing to expose it to the workplace. She doesn't express remorse. She would not quit her job. She loves it. She has already filed for divorce. Our recent conversations about the breakdown of the marriage seem to have a lot of fingers pointed at me. Saw a Facebook chat that she had with her best friend the other day where she said things along the lines of "Thank God for Jeff. He is my little bit of love and hope in the day." She filed first because she wanted the divorce. This isn't something I want or believe is the correct thing to do. I love my wife, kids, and family. My big concern is the kids, that they get through this as easily as possible, and that I stay involved in their lives. I need to keep a professional relationship with my STBXW for their sake. If that means I end up sitting on the information, should it be positive because that will keep the peace, I will do that. I am capable of thinking of people other than myself, unlike someone I thought I knew. Funny night tonight. I took our oldest daughter to her softball game. My STBXW was supposed to take our oldest son to swimming lesson, but she was running behind and opted to skip it and bring him and our other 2 children to the softball game. She walked up with them and the first thing I thought of was the visual of her banging the other man. Disgusted me. I thought again of all the texts I read last night, and the subsequent lies she told me about how they are just friends and are comfortable around each other. Very comfortable it seems. And then I was jealous, because I wished the other man was me, that she was giving me that and not him. The game ran late, so she took our youngest 2 home to get them ready for bed while I stayed with the oldest 2 until the game was over. She won, first time this year. The drive home was quiet. All I could think of then was the humiliation I feel. I hate feeling sorry for myself like this. Then the speculation that the test will find nothing. She is right and I am imagining things and am going to make a divorce situation a whole lot worse than it needs to be, and that is the regret I carry for the rest of my days. The texts I read still cross boundaries that I should have said a long time ago, even if it was all harmless in her mind. But that is weak sauce for me to hang my hat on for why she is the one at fault for the divorce. Anyways, screw that sentimentality. It is now waiting for the results. There seems to be a backup at the lab. The underwear sample will take 2 weeks to process. Must be a lot of potential cheaters out there. I am prepping myself for the news that the sample will come back negative. I still have the text messages to expose to the other man's girlfriend, but that would always leave doubt in my mind. It is hard listening to my STBXW describe why our marriage can't work, knowing that she isn't saying a big reason for it. It is even harder for me not to fire back at her what I know. I read the text messages again today to make sure I wasn't overthinking things. Nope, I had it right. Curious to get her phone synced again to see if there are any snippets of information saved about them discussing my suspicion. Someone said earlier that the chance of a post-affair relationship was only 3%. Looks like another of her coworkers, who is divorced, but with a new guy. Saw a similar study as the text messages back and forth between them say hopefully you are part of the lucky 2% as I am. She really got to me tonight. She again said how we had no connection, how we couldn't have fun, how she could fake it for another couple of years, but we would never be any better. I was too focused on money, that we had none, my spin, and she wanted to let caution to the wind. Maybe it is true. I am me, she is her. I look back at the good times we had, she looks back on the bad ones. I'm no martyr here, I absolutely could have done better. Ma'am, How do you stay in the room as her and not lay into it with everything you know? Her pretending there is nothing going on outside of the home just makes me want to scream, and puts doubts in my mind as well. Got to stay calm. Going to talk to old friend of mine later today to help give me some perspective and hopefully support. The message from him to her is, so, what's my mission today? My STBXW has some control over his duties despite that they are both managers at where they work. Her response, well, I can tell you what I want the mission to be is a lot different than what it will be. This message was sent on the Monday after their potential PIA experience. Lots of self-doubt today. I am convinced that the underwear test is going to come back negative. All this does is make me look stupid. And I made a huge mistake yesterday. My STBXW was out with our oldest son when she got called to work. There was an accident there. She arranged for a friend of hers to come pick up our son and bring him home. I talked to my wife's friend and told her my suspicions and what proof I had. She swore herself to secrecy, but I messed up bad there. Now I feel like some paranoid jerk. Right now, I am too messed up emotionally to take any more of it in. I look back at what I have done, both in my time in my marriage where I wasn't ideal, and my actions since my instincts went into overdrive. I am not proud of some of the actions I have undertaken. If I am proven wrong in all this, it will be tough to look anyone involved in their eyes again. I've scrubbed the evidence I have several times. Everything can be explained away. The worst I can say is that she has loose boundaries that her next relationship will need to tighten. It could really come down to that I wasn't good enough for her. What I really need to focus on is how I am going to move forward in my life. I live in a place where I have no family and no close friends. I have to rebuild my life, and it is going to be tough. My STBXW will land on her feet. She always has. She is strong, stubborn, and committed. That is what attracted me to her in the first place. I seem to have outlived my usefulness. I've reread what I wrote so far and it sounds too whiny. I am not looking for sympathy. Far from it. It is a challenge I tackle but has uncertain results. I have 4 great kids. I have fond memories of our time together. I will try and do the best I can. There was a comment earlier in this thread where the poster said something along the lines of I don't think you'll ever be happy in this marriage. Those words have really sunk in. I can keep fighting, but she isn't coming back. It is a shame. I'll carry regret about this the rest of my days, but I've learned a lot about myself and how I need to approach relationships. I wished I'd learned this when I was 17. A week later, pride before the fall as the expression goes. I've reached out for help, saw my IC on Thursday, reminded me that it isn't my fault that she wants to end the marriage and that she is having at least an EA. He's saying to me all the same things that you find folks are. Do not listen to what she is saying because she is trying to deflect the blame from her to me. I just need to make sure I do what is right for me. Although he is anti-exposure for the affair text, I'm ignoring the underwear as I doubt it will yield positive results. After I spoke with him, went to go see a medical doctor. For the first time in 6 years since I've lived here. Probably about time for that anyways. Turns out, she was cheated on by her ex-husband and was very sympathetic to my plight. Starting Monday, I'll be medicated to help me get through this. Didn't really want to go down that road, but again, pride before the fall. And better than the self-medicating I've been doing recently. I am waiting until Monday since alcohol and these meds don't play nice, and I've got a few activities this weekend where alcohol will be available. And damn it, I want to participate. Spoke with a good friend, a new friend, and my sister, just to get grounded. I've got options financially going forward that I am being convinced to take advantage of. Don't really want to. Don't want to give STBXW a victim card to play. But yet again, pride before the fall. My biggest hurdle moving forward is to see my STBXW as a manipulative person. We were in love and I always held her in such high regard. The fact that she is throwing it away still stings. I need to move past all the bad parts of our time together and how they are not 100% the cause for our divorce. The boundaries have been crossed. Everyone I've talked about the text messages agrees. You just don't do that with someone who isn't your spouse. I have no idea about their future. So now I wait for the results of the underwear test and the proposal for the divorce settlement. Keep my eyes open on the text message front and plan for what to do with them. Rely on the friends I have, take advantage of the opportunities I've got, and try and be the best person I can for my kids. Still don't want to be medicated though. 3 months later, we are separating, effective September 1st, knock on wood, more on that in a second. I will be moving out. Our 4 kids will stay in the house with my STBXW. The access arrangements are fairly generous and flexible, and my STBXW are still rather amicable. Our lawyers are hammering out the final details of the separation agreement. While things are amicable, there are some rocky moments. Although it is not on the front burner for us now. The whole Jeff situation never really got fully resolved. She broke off what they were doing, but still remain friends and work together. She still has feelings for him, calling him her soulmate to a friend, but realizes that he isn't leaving his girlfriend anytime soon. So, she is looking elsewhere. Profile is already up on dating sites and has already received a chatting partner. She doesn't know I know this. My moving out is another sore point, specifically the location. Initially my plan was to rent a 2-bedroom townhome that was close by. A 5-minute drive. I really wasn't happy about this as it is small. Only 2 bedrooms, 4 kids in 1 bedroom. Yuck, is in the same complex where my mother-in-law lives. Not that we don't get along, but still, and is also the same complex where STBXW lived when we were dating. Bad memories. But it was all I would be able to afford in the area where I wanted to live. However, in chatting with our neighbor across the street, another option came up. They own a few rental properties, including the house behind theirs. A 3-bedroom with a yard. Not a huge amount of living space, but as I said, 3 bedrooms. Any fully renovated, that is the knock-on-wood part of Sept 1st, that it will be completed by that day. If not Sept 1, then shortly thereafter. And because our neighbors like and trust me, they are cutting me a huge deal on the rent, 25% less than they would have rented it for. Budget will be tight, but well worth it. Our separate houses would be separated by our neighbor. STBXW is aghast. This isn't a true separation. The kids will be confused. They will always want to come back to her house, etc. And that I told the neighbor, so now the gossip starts. I must tell the story different than she does. Everyone she talks about what is happening says that I am doing the wrong thing. Everyone I talk about it says I am doing the right thing. I think it makes sense. If anyone here thinks it is a bad idea, please honestly tell me and why. Anyways, I leave on Saturday with the 3 oldest kids for a week vacation. It is an annual tradition in my family that we go to this spot and have made many friends there over the years that we are looking forward to seeing. STBXW will not be coming this year and will stay behind with our youngest. Makes the most sense, I suppose. The other kids are looking forward to it, and the youngest is still too young to get anything out of it. Once I get back, start packing up and moving out. A note on why we are doing separation instead of straight divorce. Initially, it was going to be divorce, but then she waffled a bit on it. I called her out on Jeff and there was a brief period of reconciliation, but it didn't last on her part, so divorce was back on the table. Unfortunately, by this time, it would have been too late to get the house on the market and find suitable accommodations elsewhere in the school district before school started. There are not a lot of places to live here. So, for the benefit of the kids, I opted for separation so they could stay in the house. I have very few, illusions that this will not turn into divorce in the spring. I've been doing my best on the 180 since we decided to go the separation route. While I haven't gone out a lot with friends, I occupy myself at home after the kids have gone to bed and pretty much ignore STBXW. This doesn't seem to be bothering her, so be it. Once I move out, I will be getting myself involved in a lot more activities and move my life along. This thread is where I will be coming for advice on how to deal with my STBXW and the 180. I want to make sure the kids are taken care of, but I do not want to be on her beck and call every time she needs help with them. Take for instance yesterday, she is short-staffed at work and has fallen behind on some things that need to get done immediately. She asked me yesterday morning as we are all getting ready if I can leave work early and pick up all the kids from various camps, daycare facilities so that she could work late. I eventually agreed to do it, but once I move out, the answer will be no. She wants to do this, she can deal with the consequences. But I have to balance this because there might be times where I will need help during my time for unforeseen reasons. My STBXW is the only person I can call. She has her mom, her aunt, various cousins, her best friend, etc. she can lean on. I don't. She also proposed that we go out once a month. I've told her I don't think that it is a good idea and left it at that. So, in conclusion, I am looking forward to moving on. I have bad days, and bad moments during good days, but that is to be expected. I will be coming to provide updates on the types of communications between her and I and ask for advice on the best way to handle it. Answer questions as I've glossed over a lot of things here. Provide insight. Anything really. I committed to renting the house a while ago, despite her protests. I'm signing the lease tomorrow and will also get a better idea of the status of the renovation. The backyard is screaming to have an ice rink built in it. Something I've always wanted to do and I am excited to give it a try. The test, that came back negative. While she doesn't know about getting the test done, I asked her if they ever had slept together. She insisted no, that it only went as far as the one kiss. Plus dirty texts. She said her morals would never have allowed her to sleep with him. I left the question unasked of when were your morals planning on kicking in based on what she had done. I can't prove it either way and at this point I'm not really interested in finding out. As I said, this is almost certainly going to end in divorce. If there ever is a chance of reconciliation though, all the Jeff cards need to be put on the table and the boundaries set a lot different than where she thought they were. But that is so far down the path of likelihood it isn't worth the electrons. I do get better these days about erasing the mind movies I have of them together and the jealousy. I felt that he was getting the best of STBXW instead of me. Still bugs me from time to time. I'm going to have those feelings all over again probably now that she is actively looking to date. I can't even think about investing the energy into another relationship at this point. But as STBXW told me, She's been disconnected from me for years, so she's further along the path. She's not pissed that much right now. She just wants me gone. I'm looking forward to being gone too, just so I can see if I can move on. The changes I'm making have and will require a lot of work and effort and will fail from time to time. What I have to, and have everyone here remind me of, is that the strength required is worth it. I keep false hope out of my mind as much as possible, but it still creeps in from time to time. I need to move out to help with that. We obviously told the friends we have at the vacation spot that STBXW would not be there and I would bring the 3 oldest. The outpouring of support has been great from them, don't worry. We'll help take care of the kids. If you need anything, we're there for you. I'll bring extra beer and wine. This will be the greatest vacation ever. Today is a bad day for me so far. STBXW is dressed to the nines and is excited for a work party tonight. She's got her potential new guy ready to go and is telling her friend that she is in a good place. I realize again that I am starting from scratch. I never wanted to lose her and, like many people here, see so much potential in the relationship and our future that it is a shame to throw it away. It really hurts that someone else is going to come in and get the benefit of everything we had worked for to get to this point. Got to try and stay positive. Signing the lease at 9:30 this morning. She didn't see it as cheating what she did, that I can prove. Just someone gave her attention when she felt I wasn't into our relationship. Easy for me to say that I was always into our relationship on here. But it obviously didn't come off that way to her. I look back at a million different moments in our marriage where I could have done something different and better. Then maybe we wouldn't be here. Life is tough and complicated. You try and do what you think is best based on who you are. We didn't communicate enough, so this is the end result. I try and keep positive now because I understand that lesson better now. Doesn't help with the regret about the past. Change is tough. I really need to move out so I don't have to see my STBXW anymore and keep thinking about the history between us. I look at my STBXW and think of course she'll be dating in a few minutes. Look at her, who wouldn't want to be with her? Meanwhile you think to yourself I got dumped. Clearly, I'm defective, and the best thing that ever happened to me is walking out the door. You can't believe that they can move on so quick and forget about you. For me, it is going to take time. For her, not so much, I guess. As I said, she feels that she has been alone for a long time now. So it is easy for her to start something new. One of the greatest things I heard on here in my other thread was someone telling me whoever is getting the goods pays the freight. I've been paying that freight throughout our marriage. Maybe not the way that my STBXW wanted, but all of her needs were taken care of and we have 4 great kids. I moved to this town, country at her behest, and now I am stuck here because I am not leaving my kids behind to go home. I work at a job that I never really liked because it provided the financial security we needed. But I wasn't getting the goods. Let her new relationship take on that responsibility and see how it goes. Maybe it will be fantastic. The new guy is a knight in shining armor who can do everything I couldn't. On my bad days, I feel like that is the likely scenario. But, hey, it is 9:30 now. Got to go sign the lease and check out the house renovations. Lease is signed and September 1st is looking good. The house is a little different than I remember it from the first time I saw it, but I'll make it work. As for the timeline, we married, lived in Canada. Where I am from, she hated it there and all our friends moved away. She wanted to move back to the States. I agreed. I never made friends down here and didn't like my job, so I became frustrated. She saw it as a sign of not caring about her. She started working and met people like her. Jeff called her beautiful at a happy hour work event. Things moved on from there. She told me she wasn't happy and that I wasn't happy either. I told her she was wrong about what I was feeling. We went to MC and the therapist told us we had lost the connection. She latched onto that and said you're right, but didn't listen to what needed to happen to reconnect. She filed for divorce. Brief reconciliation. Still wasn't happy with me. Refile for divorce. Doesn't make sense, so we'll separate. I get a rental house. That's a terrible idea. She makes a profile on a dating website and finds a partner. I sign a lease. To be fair to my STBXW, she had approached me a couple of times about how she was unhappy. I always responded with redoubling my efforts to be a provider. Money was always tight with the ever-growing number of kids, so I worked more hours for promotions. Cut back on extra expenses, etc. That is not what she wanted. She wanted to go out more frequently. She wanted to have more frequent family times instead of the annual vacation that I always took as a kid and wanted to recreate for my family. It was all about communication. We didn't do it. Now the price is being paid. When our first child is born, she was adamant that she didn't want to go back to work. She hated her job anyways, and with maternity leave being 50 weeks in Canada, we worked it out. It required us having to move and me to change jobs to a higher paying one, but it was for the best. I latched onto the fact that she wanted to stay home with the kids and did all that I could to make sure it happened. I never considered that she wasn't necessarily happy with it. We had our second child. I worked at a job that had an hour commute each way. and all the friends we had got involved in their own lives and moved to where was best for them. She was left alone, which prompted her to want to move back to the US. I looked for a job down here and found one that paid a rough equivalent of when I was earning in Canada, and down we came. Child number 3 came, but soon after she was getting bored, so she wanted to get a job. She found part-time employment at the place she works now, which eventually turned into full-time work. Her salary covered daycare for our 3rd child, and her mom helped out with the kids after school until we got home. But her job was very inflexible with regards to hours. Evenings were a rush to get everyone fed and off to bed, and her mom was subtly complaining about watching the kids as much as she did. It all became moot when she was pregnant with child number 4. She left her job and stayed home with him. She still wanted to be active though, so she started a home-based craft business. She would hold classes in our house and in a local community center. She was busy but wasn't earning much of an income, which still left us tight from a financial standpoint. So, she decided to go back to work full-time. She applied to the place where she worked when I met her, but they never got back to her. So she reapplied for her old job. I was against it because of the inflexible hours she worked before, and secretly because of Jeff. I never trusted him. She was able to negotiate better hours and more pay. So back she went. All this time, I was focused on the financial aspect of our lives. When we met, she carried a lot of debt. I helped her get out of it and always made sure that we were never in debt during our marriage, mortgage, car payments aside. But that left us with little money every month to have fun. I didn't think it was too much of a problem because we always enjoyed spending quiet time together on the couch watching TV and having a late dinner. She grew bored of that. She complained that we never went out to dinner as a family. We did, but not frequently enough for her. I was saving money for the annual family vacation. She wasn't attached to that, so she resented the fact that we had to save for it. So here we were. We are both making decent incomes, so financial pressures are not as much of an issue. We are done having kids, so no more middle-of-the-night diaper changes, and they are getting to the point they don't need constant supervision. Life is about to get a little bit easier. Nope, she's not happy and wants to separate, divorce. So that is where my disappointment comes in, with someone else coming and giving her those initial butterflies in her stomach, and he will get the rewards of getting to this point. I feel used and taken advantage of. She wins. I need to move out. The vacation will help, but I need to separate from her. She enjoyed her work party last night. Got a little crazy. Reminded me of the fun times we had together. But now I don't get. She was texting Jeff about the good times at the Christmas party and the picture they took where his hand was on her butt. She's simultaneously texting her new guy about how she is looking forward to meeting him. Meanwhile, she's telling me she has no plans for dating. Screw her. Easier said than done though. Weeks later, vacation has been great. Weather has cooperated and the kids are having an awesome time with their friends. I've found myself wishing I had someone here to share it with. My friends here have been great, helping out, making sure the kids are taken care of, and we've had a lot of laughs after the kids have gone to bed. However, at night lying in bed, all I think of is what my STBXW has been doing. Mind movies are back, and now tomorrow I'm heading back home. I am not looking forward to seeing her and have all the memories flooding back. Reminds me that I've still got to get packed up and move out. Also, she is going to want to know how the vacation went. I am going to have the kids tell as much of the story as possible. But there are going to be things that they are not going to be able to answer. I don't want to be a jerk by not answering, but it is also kind of none of her business. You know, and again, the hurt I feel that I am being thrown away so easily by her. Moving out will help, but I need to stop thinking about her even when we are apart. I have today, tomorrow, and Wednesday off work and need to pack my stuff. My STBXW has helpful while I was gone and boxed up a lot of stuff she doesn't want anymore. Plates, cups, and gifting it to me. Thanks. Looks like Jeff is back in her sightlines also. I need to remove myself from this situation. House might not be 100% done for September 1st, but I told the landlord I'm moving in that day anyways. Even if I have to sleep on a couch somewhere in it. She asked me this morning if we were making any plans for next Saturday, her birthday. I said that I didn't have any. She asked if she was free to make her own plans and said sure. She asked if she could do something with the kids and I said, go ahead. She stormed off. 5 minutes later she came back and asked what the plans were for Friday night. It is our oldest daughter's softball banquet. I said I'm going. She got annoyed, saying that if I was going, she wouldn't, and it would be up to me to tell our daughter that her mother wouldn't be going because of me. I told her I had no problems with her coming as well. She responded along the lines of, you really want to spend 4 hours with our daughter's friends' parents pretending everything is fine. I said sure. She went off again about how these people would rather spend time with her than with me. That might actually be the case. Insisted that I be gone on the 15th no matter what. Said that I had every intention of it, although I can't guarantee it due to the house renovations. She stormed off again and went out with her mom and aunt. Kept my cool pretty good through the exchanges. Even laughed a little. The funny thing is both situations, her birthday and the banquet, are being treated exactly the way they are spelled out in the separation agreement. It states that on her birthday the kids are with her and we both have the right to attend any of the kids' functions. Really hoping the house is done for the 15th though. So, the last few days have been a little tense, surreal. My STBXW is extremely quiet around the house. We've spent evenings apart for months now. But these last few days she has been extremely distant. I'm not so bold as to say that she is realizing that she is going to miss me. I doubt that now at this point. I guess the full reality of the situation is hitting her. It's hitting me too. But you know what? I'm good. I've been able to look back at some of the things that we never got on the same page on, and instead of me saying why didn't I do more, I'm also thinking why didn't she do more? These are lessons learned for my next relationship. New house though is still hopeful for the 15th, but no guarantees. Really hope it is though. Need to move out and on. Wanted to provide an update, both good and bad. Finally got to move into my new place on September 16th. Went smoothly for the most part, although at that time my new place still was not finished construction. But it was livable enough that I could crash there until I left for a trip on the 18th. Believe it or not, there is still some small work to be done to the house to fully finish it off. And the furnace currently isn't working, and it is cold here at night these days, but this isn't a renter's, landlord relationship site. So I'll stop there. The kids are doing as well as can be expected so far. They spent their first night in my house this past Friday, and next weekend will be over for the entire 3 days. As for my STBXW, doing my best to keep the 180 up. Only see her when necessary to transfer the kids, and even at those moments only talk to her about very specific topics related to kids or finances during the separation. Outside of her, trying my best to keep busy, still putting things away in my new place and getting things set up. Had the kids back in Canada last weekend for Canadian Thanksgiving and saw some old friends. They have 3 kids and the 7 of them combined had a blast playing together. Bowling league has started and just got in contact yesterday with the league commissioner for the City Squash League. I essentially stopped playing squash competitively when I got married. Mentioned before about building a skating rink in the backyard, this Sunday when I've got the kids. We'll all go out there and start measuring, calculating the leveling requirements and marking stakes. Still looking into cooking classes once the squash schedule is made available to me. I don't know what nights that league plays yet. What haven't I done well so far? I'm trying to stay detached from my STBXW and just deal with facts when talking to her. But I can hear myself delivering it in a rude tone of voice. That's not the impression I want to leave with her. Rather, I need to be a little more upbeat about it. Not that I am missing her. In fact, right now the feeling I have the most when I think about her is anger. Anger that I followed her around and eventually down here. That I am stuck here because of her. Angry that she didn't want to work on our marriage and only focused on what she considered the bad times. She felt we'd lost our connection. And is happy enough to ignore all the good times and memories we shared. Also have got myself in a situation that I need to be very careful with. I've met somebody. We've gone out a couple of times and have really connected well. I've explained my separation and where I am in the process. She'd actually been burned before by dating someone with whom she got very serious over the course of a year only to have him go back and reconcile with his ex-wife. So, we've both agreed to take it very slow and see how things play out. I am conscious to make sure that I am just not looking for someone to fill a relationship void. I was actually looking forward to being on my own for a bit. And with alternating custody schedules between her kids and mine, we will not be seen with each other in any of our kids' presence until we are sure this is a committed long-term thing, and we are obviously very far from that point now. I still am alone most of the time. What is annoying me now are her Facebook postings. They are these inspirational quotes about how you need to leave behind the past and live the life that is in front of you. How you hope there is a soft landing after you take that next step. I see these things, and our mutual friends see these things, and it paints me as the bad guy. I'm almost tempted to like the status as a duck you to her. So, it appears she will file for divorce this week. She is doing it out of spite and not logic. She is only screwing herself by doing that. So be it. Sign the summons and PSA on Tuesday. Now we wait a couple of weeks and it is all over. Really angry today. Her life doesn't change that much. I'm losing everything I worked for in the 15 years we've been together. Sure, I obviously have 4 great kids and I enjoy the time I have with them. But she gets the easy path. And starting over from scratch. I know I've said all this before. But today again I realize that I am here only because of her, and now I'm left with half my paycheck and a few measly sticks of furniture. And she wonders why I don't talk to her when I pick up, drop off the kids. What is she expecting me to say to her? Bloody hell, horribly depressed right now. Christmas was always my favorite holiday and I'm sitting in my house. I have the kids this weekend, that is bereft of decorations save for a tree and some cheap ornaments. Can't afford anything else right now. Meanwhile, at my old house which I am over at all the time with kid transfers, is all decked out with the family decorations accumulated over the 15+ years we were together. Brings back happy memories and hurts that it is all gone now. It is days like today that I feel that I don't have the strength to start all over again. So, my ex-mother-in-law was always the one to help out with the kids since we moved here. She got the oldest ones off the bus, then picked up the youngest daughter from preschool and kept them entertained and fed until XW got home. She'd been doing it for years, even when we were still married. XW relied on her a lot and still does. Unfortunately, she had a stroke this weekend. Thankfully, it was a mild one and she should recover well. But she won't be able to do all the things she could in the past, like drive and pick up kids. And obviously one could lead to another, so there is an issue there of keeping the kids in her care. The reasonable side of me is, oh crap, she's ducked. The next few days while she is in the hospital will be especially difficult. Love TV's comment. What an ending. Ex-wife does everything to separate and take the kids. But in the end, OP is the one who gets the kids. What do you think of this story? Comment down below, sub and bell,